Have you had a Kundalini awakening?
I
Like
have been Kundalini awake since 2015, I would say. Yeah.
what happened in 2015?
Well, when I would say that my awakening really shifted my after, a little traumatic experience. And that was kind of, I hear all about all of these walk-ins, and then I, hear that it's really part of your soul that has come into your into your physical now reality. And so I think that was really what happened back in
What
2015. And I'm not
happened?
going to call it it was just a altercation, we'll call it that.
You had a
But
little
it was
argument with somebody or something like that.
a little more
Upset.
than an argument, but enough to shake me to the bones of to say, what, this is not happening anymore, or
Right.
whatever that it happened. But it was enough to say, what, I need to have a better life, or I have to change what I'm doing. And I felt that was that Kundalini awakening, because everything shifted from that point forward.
Because you made a
So
decision that you wanted it to be
I don't know
different.
if I specifically, I think it was more of like, and I never have said a walk in, and I don't even really think that that's what it is. I feel like it was more of the higher power that says, okay, that enough's enough. Are you done with this 3D reality that, isn't comfortable?
Mhm.
So I feel like that's really what it was more about.
So when you felt like that, like energetically you changed, right? There was a shift in your,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and that's because you said enough to the old ways.
Yeah. But I think it was help from above, or help from the guides or the angels
Or
or my
you,
soul.
your higher
Yeah.
divine being.
My higher divine me. That's correct. That's what I
Isn't,
mean. It
isn't
was
that your,
enough to say enough. Yeah.
and then everything
And
changed.
most people don't get that. But most people don't get that, or if it's from a traumatic experience or an accident or a near death experience. Yeah.
What do you mean most people don't get what? That
That awakening so quickly and so fast.
but you're already a spiritually open person, right?
Oh, have always been. Yes.
But there was something different that happened
Yes,
at that
correct.
moment.
Yeah.
Like how do you describe like the body sensation, the difference? Like
Well, everything shifted, and you interviewed. I listened to just somebody just the other day, that you interviewed, where he said, after, I think he had a walk in, but he was saying like everything shifted. He was young, and then he was, that he like didn't want to have sex or anything anymore. He wasn't attracted in that way. Like everything just kind of shifted for him. And that's kind of how I felt, where it was like no more alcohol, no more of this, you're going down this bad path, or I won't even say it's a bad path. It was just a different reality. Let's put it that way.
so you were
And so I
like
really feel like it made me jump to another reality, another frequency, very, very
so you were
fast.
spiritual, but you were still indulging in little kind of stuff and like
Yeah.
keeping your spiritual life. And then you said that it's all different. You're going to change even the littlest part
It
of your
was
life.
instant. It was literally instantaneous.
But I think
Yeah.
that's what it takes. You have to change. Like I know I can't have even one sip of alcohol or marijuana or anything. Like it just I can feel it lower my frequency immediately. Can't you feel that too?
Yeah. Yes, it's kind of like, the visual of like you're walking into, we'll call, a bar or something, and it's like a movie scene where you're walking in and everybody's dark,
Right.
except maybe you might see one light person.
Right.
But it's like, where, like, they are on another frequency completely, like a much lower level. So now the awareness of me, like, it doesn't feel good, to be in that, even just going, down into where I live. And it's like, I see everybody's like on another level, and I'm not going to call it as a negative as a lower level, but kind
No,
of, it
that's
feels
where
like
they
a
are.
heavier.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's
It's a darker, it feels darker.
well,
Everything's
it's like
grayer.
some people are in first grade, some people are in 12th grade. You're not going to judge them because they're
That's right.
just have to indulge in,
Oh, come on. When you get to those levels, when you're in the next grade up, you always look down on them.
unless of course you're left back, which
Just
some people
kidding.
are. No, but
Yeah.
no, but yeah, I think though there's a frequency shift to the planet itself now. So it's like it's more drastic than ever in indulging in those negativities, like going out, getting drunk, or whatever it is that you would do. it hits you harder. I think even like one sip of alcohol set me back like 3 weeks until I was able to get back my focus, my level of consciousness, my like concentration. So
It's kind of like eating heavy foods or
yeah.
very, very light plant-based, airy foods. There's definitely a heavy substance, frequency to that, but it just feels, it doesn't feel good, period.
But you know what? These last couple of days, I've really felt an increase in vibration. Have you felt that the last couple of days?
I have, but prior to that, it was probably, was it 2 days or 3 days ago, it was like a wave of when, that was heavy. I mean, I don't even know, it wasn't, it was like, what was that? And it really took me back. And I feel like it was like a little cleansing, one more cleansing. And every time they do that, it's like the rain when the showers come, it's a cleansing and you feel it and then it's gone and then the sun is shining again. And that's how I feel today. The sun is shining, the rainbows are out. Definitely.
Well, how do you? No, I was just wondering how you clean your energy field. Like the other day, I was with this person. I felt a lot of negativity from this person. And I just felt like it kind of sucked me and attached me and white sage, but I still want to keep cleansing. How do you cleanse your auric field? How do you do it?
Yeah. Well, I have sage right here. So I saged, but I don't always sage, and opening my windows a lot, letting the air come in and the chimes that I have outside, listening to the birds. And I just kind of invite that energy in to cleanse it. So even with your imagination, you can do it. Just, I call in the light, I call in the sunshine to cleanse this whole house. You don't always have to have the physical tools such as sage. It's with intention, but yes, doing that daily. But, kind of when you're around someone like that, you're just invoking like that, invitation of like, dear God, please bless this person with more light. You can do everything is intention. So, what my way may not be the way that feels right for you. So I always feel like what feels good to you when you say it, whatever you think at that moment to say, well, how can I cleanse this person? Or how can I cleanse the energy around this person and bring more light to it? You can just imagine the sun shining on them, and lifting up the darkness, so that's kind of what it feels like.
But I do think tools can help, intention, yes, but.
Oh yeah. Like I said, I have right here. So those are tools. I have them all, but they're not always necessary. I mean, those are actually, you can do it, if you're traveling and you don't have these tools, it is with intention. Right. You're creating it, right? Everything's creation.
Yes. Yes. No, I understand. You have to be a certain level of higher consciousness to realize that.
But sometimes you can recognize, why is this person coming to me, right? And why are they carrying this heavy energy? So if I'm feeling that, what is it that they're carrying that I can relate to? And how can I bring my wisdom to this experience, or ask, what is it trying to teach me? So you can, dive deep into that as well.
Oh, definitely. And, also I think there's just like places you don't have to go to test yourself all the time, like you've been around those people, like, okay, I don't need to go back to that party anymore. It's like,
correct.
I've done that. So you're also a channel, right?
Yes, we all are channels.
I know, but you actually go into a trance state and you bring through beings. Who do you bring through?
I call them now, as we've spoken before, the love speakers and the light speakers. Yeah.
Oh, and what kind of things do you want to do a show? Maybe not now, but do you want to do a show where you're bringing them in?
Yes, at some point I will. Definitely.
All right.
Guided, yeah.
Like what kind of messages do they bring in?
It's really about teaching you how to bring in that light and that love and uplifting your frequency, and your vibration, which is again for the entire planet. So that's what they're teaching. Yep.
I'm going to bring in Marla Lombard. You're going to love her. She's
yes.
Have you met Marla?
Not yet.
Oh, there she is.
Hello.
Marla, turn on your speakers. You look like a superstar. This is Kat Divine. She is an intuitive, a medium, intuitive, all that. great stuff that you do, you know, calling in the higher dimensions. And
Hi, Kat.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
And Kat is a medium, kind of using her vehicle to access higher realms like you. And I think she has a lot to share here on
Well,
this.
I'd love to hear a little bit more about you, Marla.
Yes, Marla is a superstar. No, you know what I like about Marla is that, from what I know about you, Marla, you were kind of in that other world, sort of mainstream, being psychic, all that, but kind of mainstreaming it. And now you've met all of us that are a little more out there. And does that expand your psychic awareness somehow, that psychic kind of sense?
Well, I was so glad to have found you all because I didn't know anybody else who was asking questions like you were.
Like which question?
So I was thrilled about that. How the psychic and spiritual and ET world dovetail with science, and being willing to go on sort of the outer edges of what we kind of all accept, as spirituality. So I was looking for you all.
And here you found us. But no, that's a good question that I think we're still trying to discover, how the psychic, spiritual, and scientific, I don't think they quite meet yet. Do you, Kat? Do you think they are? How would you connect them, the spiritual and the scientific? I mean, where do they meet for you?
Well, they're always been connected. It's some people who decide to take different paths and not meet in the middle, where they all meet, right? So some are all the way over here on the spiritual level, some are all on the scientific level, but here, as the three of us and many of all of your followers are all in the center where they've all meet, and they've always been there.
But how do they meet? Because most people in the science were very rational, and then you have the spiritual or more intuitive. So how can they meet? How can we bridge it is the question, really. I'm trying to figure that out myself.
Well, I kind of see it as kind of like your conventional medicine versus your holistic medicine. And then the more awareness, which is what you are doing, is bringing that together.
Yeah, I think so. I think for you, Marla, are you okay, Marla? I think she's getting. No, it's okay. We lost. Oh, you muted yourself there. Unmute. Oh, one moment. I'm lip reading. But Marla has some incredible stories of her psychic adventures, and I think.
So sorry.
No, it's okay. I know you're fixing your sunset behind you somehow, but.
No, my phone was going off, even though I thought I had muted it, Alan.
Oh, no, it's okay. And you have a dog in the background too.
The dog was barking. I
think, Kat, you're a dog trainer or something. Are you a dog trainer?
I have been for 16 years, but now I'm not training anymore. So no.
And you're an animal communicator?
But again, I'm still, they're always around me though. Yes.
The dogs.
Yeah.
Or the spirits. No, but are you an animal communicator too?
Yeah. Even when I was doing a mediumship reading the other day, the lady's bird had just passed and she was devastated because she thought she was responsible for it. And it happened to be a pigeon. So the pigeon came in and was right there. So giving the validation and telling what the pigeon was doing. And she's like, yes, that's what he would always do. So yeah, it's like tuning in your frequency, that radio dial. So whether they're animals or humans or other beings,
ETs.
Again, it's just, yeah.
Do you do that too, Marla? Are you an animal communicator? Do you do animals?
I do, and I love to communicate with animals, whether they're here or on the other side. And I bet Kat has the same experience that I do. it seems to me that when people cross over, they cross over to different levels. But it seems like animals cross over fully spiritually formed. They cross over as realized beings who are doing exactly what they want to do. They're doing exactly what their purpose is. I love that about animals, and getting to connect with that is such a joy, right, Kat?
Yeah, well, they always lived in the now to begin with. They're not busy trying, thinking about yesterday or the future and all that stress. So they're always present in the now moment. So when they transition, they're still right there. I mean, they're just filled with joy and love and just, yeah, they're just amazing.
Do they keep
they feel so good.
Do they keep their same soul essence? Do they reincarnate again, animals?
Sure. I mean, especially if they've been I hear it all the time that, someone walks into a rescue and it was like, I knew this dog. I knew it. It was exactly the same as my other one. I could feel them. They'll transition. But for humans, right, they may not come in. Most of the time, they won't come back reincarnated into the same lifetime. So that doesn't mean that doesn't happen, but it does, but it's much more infrequent. It's more the animals, they will reincarnate in the same lifetime.
So there's a soul to animals. I mean,
so the ones that, well, not all. So this is coming from Cryon, actually, who said not all of them have souls, which I found quite interesting. So the ones that are the ones that are, connected to you. They are your, pets, and, you're in your family, and they're very close to you. So from my understanding with that it would be the ones that, we consume, that are, and that's what their purpose is. Because I was actually,
the animals we eat do not have souls. Is that what kind?
Well, he didn't go into depths about it, but it's definitely my understanding of some of them that don't.
I don't know. Is that true, Marla, for you? I mean, who knows what's true, but what do you feel about that, Marla?
I think all animals have souls, and I think probably all living beings have certainly some form of energy that we know we can measure, etc. But I've never talked to an animal that didn't have a soul. I think the animals we eat is more about us rather than about them, right?
Well, but do plants have souls then too? The plants you eat, the vegetables, this is what Findhorn based their whole energetic gardening on the souls of plants.
What do you think, Kat?
Well, it's really an interesting question, because I really didn't believe that they didn't all have souls. And so, as I'm learning, as everybody else is, as we learn from each other, and, coming from Cryon, which I really, really gravitate toward and resonate with his information. So I don't know if they're necessarily souls that are in the living plants. They definitely have energy. You can hear them singing and things like that, but I don't know the depths of that. So, and some of those animals may not be, again, they could be very similar to some of the plants where they don't have a soul. They have, and of course they're energy, they're alive. But I'm not sure exactly about all of the souls, because I'm not sure if everyone does. I thought everyone did, but
I think everyone does. And I think everyone must, because there's the life force that is neither created or destroyed. Elizabeth, thanks for joining us. We're talking about the souls of animals here. If you want to jump in. Did you meet Elisabeth, Kat? Elizabeth Sithouris?
Yes, a couple of times.
Hi. Do you want to put on your camera just so we see your smiling face?
A little picture.
No,
Okay.
I'm not going to put it on. It's a choice of whether I get to tune in with you guys a little bit.
Okay. That's fine. You don't have to put it. I know what you look. We know what you look like. So, but what do you think about the soul and the soul of animals, and the immortal essence of beings? And I mean, do you have an idea about that as a cosmic snoop? That's what you think.
You asked me? I thought Kat was in the middle of talking.
Oh no, I thought she had finish what she was saying.
Oh, yeah.
But did-
Well, of course, animals have souls. I mean, what?
Yeah. Well, the reason I say that is because when I heard one of his teachings, Cryon, he had said that not all animals have souls, only the ones that are really connected to us, which surprised me. And that's why I'm saying that.
Well, just because he said it doesn't mean it's true. I question a lot of no, it
Oh, sure.
I question a lot of channels. Just because they're like on another level doesn't mean that they're right. You have to
Well,
question, right? What's that, Elisabeth?
yeah, I said, beware of anthropocentric views of the world. People are not the be all and end all of creation.
And neither are channels. Just because someone's channeling a disincarnate doesn't make them an authority, you know?
Well, it's the idea that only the animals close to humans have souls is an anthropocentric idea. It means seeing the world from the point of view of we're the God-given creature intelligences and we're the ones who matter the most and all that. And that's just crazy from an evolutionary perspective.
That's what I meant about it being much more about us than about the animals. I think it's
Exactly.
a much more comfortable view to think that animals that we're eating don't have souls rather than animals we're eating do have souls.
Yeah,
So,
and how close can they get to us? How close can they get to us, our food animals? And
Well,
if they deny them souls, we're in
does it-
trouble.
I think
Does it-
anybody who communicates with animals, now I don't know about plants, and I would love to hear Elisabeth talk about plants, but I think any of us that have done communication with animals, I think that saying we don't have souls would go contrary
But-
to our experiences.
But what do the souls of those, let's say they do have souls, what do the souls of those animals we're eating say about being eaten by us? Do they have anything to say about? Do they care? Is it something they don't want to happen? I mean, what do you think on that level?
I would personally, I think I would have to talk with an individual animal. I could try to talk to a group of animals, and it's really hard to get out of my own human head about it, of course. I mean, I'm not a vegetarian nor a vegan because my body just doesn't function with it. And I have terrible guilt about not being a vegan. And I salute anyone who is. I'm sorry about the barking. I should turn it over to someone else.
Here's my friend Gabriel.
Oh, my goodness. You see? So, when you think about that, it's like, what's the difference of eating a cow or a fish or a cat or a dog?
Well, I wouldn't eat my cat. No.
Well, what's the difference though? You see, I mean,
Well, because we're
meal?
domestic, but I know maybe there isn't a difference.
no, I don't believe there's a difference. I mean, but again, I'm not going to go down that whole path right now. But I feel like the ones that I communicate with, I know they have a soul because they're talking to me.
Right. What were you saying, Elisabeth?
Well, I want to say to Marla, please don't feel guilty for not being a vegan because plants have more senses than humans. And if you, people think they can rip a carrot out of the ground and crunch it up raw with their teeth and stuff, thinking that it has no intelligence, no soul, no nothing, right? But if a tree has more than a dozen senses in addition to the 5 we have, which the trees have, and I have had wonderful experiences with trees doing me favors, doing healings, doing all kinds of things, one of my favorite things when I'm out, I talk to every hedge I pass, every palm tree I pass, acknowledge them for beings. And there's one tree I can actually see from my 18th floor lanai that's so special to me. And man, it is the most beautiful tree on the block now. It's like, I think our relationship has helped it to thrive. Mm-hmm. And so I wrote a whole paper about the vegan bullying that's going on, and because they don't want to look at the intelligence of plants. And I have a favorite story of going out with a a very psychic couple. Oh gosh, it was, who is it? Targ. Elisabeth Targ was a famous woman who did psychic healing and all of those things, right?
You mean
She and her
Russell Targ's daughter, right? Was that
Yes,
Russell?
Russell Targ's daughter.
Right.
And she and her husband and I were with a couple that they had an Inuit healer that they had brought to the United States in one of Elizabeth's research projects. Anyway, we went out to lunch, and the Inuit orders a great big fat steak plain, just slapped on the grill, once on each side quickly, and their spouse orders a plate of ribs, and then the other two, Elisabeth and her husband, order these big salads. And the Inuit looks at them and said, "You are not going to take a whole salad, are you?" And they said, "What do you mean?" "Think how many lives you take in one salad."
Oh
And
my goodness.
It just cracked me up. They changed their order to zucchini sticks.
Wow.
It was such a funny moment.
That,
Like, are you really going to tell an Eskimo they shouldn't eat their beloved caribou brothers whom they honor and make healthy and sustain, and, because they depend on them? So narrow-mindedness is just foolish anymore. We have to get diversity. We have to understand it, and stop, making war on a microbial world we should be friends with, and, work on healthy eating and look at how honoring Indigenous people are of everything they eat. They are equally grateful to every species that nourishes them, knowing that biologically we have no choice but to eat, right?
right. Marla, could you ask some cows if they mind being eaten?
You're so tough with me.
I am. You don't have to do that, but I'm just curious because I do feel nourished with a piece of steak, a piece of good juicy steak, but I wouldn't eat my cat because there's no meat on it. But that's not the only reason. No, there's a connection.
Yeah, but Alan,
Yes.
you have to then ask the veggies the same question. All these monocultured crops.
Right.
Ask them the same question, and you can ask it as much as Marla can ask
I know.
They are given no choice. They are prisoner. It's like, ask a prisoner, "Are you happy in your cell?"
Right.
I mean,
Well, if someone's able to tune in, because I like Marla was saying, there's too much of my humanness in the way to me, for me, but Marla may be more practiced in the art of psychic awareness, or cat, I don't know. But no, I think though, someone said plants don't mind being eaten because they are a greater soul that's not necessarily in the plant, but an oversoul that connects to all the species of that one plant. At least that's what they were saying at Finhorn. Do you know Finhorn?
well, that may, of course, I'm a
I mean, does
Findhorn.
Marla and Kat know about Finhorn?
No.
Well, you want to tell them about Finhorn because that was a miracle that happened there, right, Elisabeth?
Yeah, I mean, back in the 60s, 50s, 60s, a group of people went to this place in northern Scotland, on an edge of a firth, water inlet, and they started to grow veggies in a desert kind of place, deserted kind of sandy soil place. And they ended up talking to the fairies in the garden and to Pan himself, and they were getting help with growing these things. And they started by growing veggies for food, notice. And in their gardens where they were growing their food, they were able to then see the spirits that were tending the plants along with them, and Pan, who was in charge of it all. And they ended up with a globally known huge community that holds big conferences,
but the plants grew too because they were talking to the spirit of the plants. The plants grew tremendously where they should not have.
Right.
Yes.
Yes. And so those plants were not upset about being raised as food, because there was this love exchange and this understanding of nourishment being necessary, and species help each other and volunteer in that way. In your own body, there are countless cells every moment committing suicide because they know it's time for them to leave and to let others take over. And, it's a whole different worldview when you're all in cooperation and you're all looking out for not only your health, but the health of the greater community. And that we're totally missing that now. We're in a sickness care system. We don't talk about health at all anymore. We don't talk about the poisons in our food. The best thing that we can do for all those foods that we eat, whether it's meat or veggies, is to get them to be grown with love in healthy ways, the way they were when Indigenous people were in right relationship with them. And that's what our efforts should be focused on, not I eat this and you can't eat that. I have a daughter who went from vegan all the way to she's now on paleo, eating almost only meat. She's a doctor, and she and her partner doctor, they both went the whole gamut of the diets that are possible. And we have to stop making war on each other for what diet we're eating, and instead recognize that we should all be fighting for a healthy food.
I agree with that. My
100%.
favorite joke lately is, how do you know when you've met a vegan? Do you know that joke? Do you know? They tell you. Like immediately they tell you. Like,
Well, I think whatever resonates with you, right? And that's what's the most important, and you and your body, and and so, and about bringing the awareness to healthy food,
and gratitude for your food. Sure.
Yes, I always bless my food by eating it. I bless it by eating it. So I do, because
I wouldn't have taken you for a meat eater. I really wouldn't have. I would have thought you were vegan.
Really? No, I hide it well, but no, I do. I do like eating a good steak. I hope I don't lose any audience with that, but
maybe we should change the topic.
No, I don't care.
I think we do have a responsibility. And this is what I came to eat in the way that really serves us, that gives us the most strength and the most energy. Because if we're not doing that, then we can't achieve our purpose. We can't take the steps we need to. So that's personally how I came to understanding how I need to eat.
No, but what about the morality and the karma and all the things that people have attached to that?
Again, it's your perspective, it's your mindset, it's your perspective, it's how you think about it.
I mean, look at the Dalai Lama. All the Tibetans eat meat because there's nothing else that grows in Tibet except yak. So you have to eat meat. It's true.
No, Alan. I think that Dalai Lama said something like, I'm a vegetarian on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I eat meat on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and on Sunday. I don't know if I forget what he says, but
or we could all become breatharians.
I would do that, but
they do grow some root veggies and things in Tibet.
But basically, you have to eat meat to survive in Tibet. I mean, at least that's how it was. But no, I guess it's like, who knows if there's a karmic thing or you're, I think, I don't know.
I mean, is it Bashar? And Bashar is breatharian. Like, they don't eat.
They don't eat, but they're in another density, though, Bashar.
Well, if that's 300 years into our future, then that's where we'll be at.
Well,
why do we want to give up this planet? Why don't we make this paradise?
I didn't say give up the planet. I said there would be breatharians. We wouldn't be eating.
Oh,
no, we don't have to give. I love this planet. It's a very nice planet. You know that. It's a very, very decent planet to be on. It's a very...
Yeah, I was just saying that, Kat, because there are so many people that want to transcend from the body. And I say we need to learn to play the whole keyboard and to ground that cosmic love into our biology before we escape. I mean, some of us can escape, and I probably will pretty soon. But
You're not going anywhere, Elizabeth.
Well, we
I
are
know,
part of the
I'll be here
crystalline
to bug
grid,
you in
so
spirit, if not in the flesh.
we're always part of Mother Earth. We are part of the crystalline grid,
Yeah.
so we're always going to be here.
Are you curious, Elizabeth? I know it's a little different topic. Are you curious about where you might be going or not?
Oh, of course. I mean, I would love to know who my welcoming committee will be and, where we're going next and to get some questions answered about this life that I can't seem to answer on my own. And, that I have sat in circle with other incarnations to ask if I'm doing my part in these petals of the lotus that I see as my incarnations in the eternal now. We're all here, including my future self. I do hope to say in linear time, please don't make me go back very soon. Because I don't see the next part of Earth history as being very pretty. But anyway,
it's up
I need
to
to
us.
go around.
It's up to us to make it pretty or not. We are at this
Yes.
critical point. This
Yes.
turning point. That's why me and my friend Neil, who just joined us from Portal to Ascension. Neil, welcome. And Marla.
Yeah,
and
listen, I have to go. I'm glad that Neil is here now. I love checking in, Marla. I hope to talk with you soon.
Yes.
And everybody, blessings. And
Thanks.
I'll see you next week.
Thanks for tuning in last week too, Elizabeth. We were doing a live book event.
Thank you. It was a lovely show, a beautiful setting, by the way.
Yeah.
Is that the bookstore itself, or
No, that was an art gallery in downtown New
Oh.
York. So
Great, lovely place.
well,
Okay,
thanks for your words of wisdom. We'll see-
Yes, thank you so much, Elizabeth. Thank
Yeah.
you. Made me feel better.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Thanks. So Neil, welcome. Do you know Elisabeth Sithouris, who just left us?
Yeah, you introduced me to her and she was on our event.
Oh, right.
Recently.
She was on our event. And this is Neil. Do you know Neil, Kat, and Marla?
No,
guys-
hello, Neil.
Do you,
Hi,
Yeah.
nice.
I haven't met this way, but yes, I've been on your site. So
Well,
yes.
Neil is the genius behind portaltoascension.org. It is a platform that covers all the spiritual topics from ancient civilization to star seeds, which we're doing this weekend. We're inviting everyone to the Star Seed Summit.
Mhm.
Do you know what star seeds are, Marla?
No, tell me, Ellen.
Marla's very psychic, but she's been in a little psychic box, which is fine.
I've been in a cave
She's just
having my own experiences, but
No, star seeds. Come on. What do you think they mean, Marla?
well,
Seeds from the stars.
Yes. What were you going to say, Marla?
no, I don't know. Go ahead. I
Oh.
want to hear all about it.
Well,
I
It's-
do, seriously.
I know it's a 2-day summit, and people who've incarnated basically from other star systems that are coming here with a message to uplift this reality. How would you define it, Neil? Star seeds.
I don't really have a definite thing because some people say that we're all star seeds, and others say that we're not. And those are two different trains of thought, right? The whole concept of everybody that says we're all star seeds is that we all came from the stars, whether your soul incarnated somewhere else before, or the fact that we're all made out of stardust, it's kind of both. And then others say that many people have had earthly incarnations and been on Earth for quite some time, incarnating over and over, that they were from the stars originally, but they've had earthly experiences so much that they're more of an earth seed. However, even in that context, if time doesn't exist in the linear aspect that we're thinking, then all these lives are happening simultaneously. So to say that you've been incarnating on Earth for millions of years or thousands of years doesn't really take away from the fact that you are also simultaneously living a life as a star being somewhere. You know what I'm saying? So these are my thoughts. That's why I don't have any definite. This is why I'm kind of loose with the term.
I think you're a star seed, Marla. You walked in later in life as a star. Can't you tune into those lifetimes and all those other stars? I mean, I guess.
I had a lot of fun. I went through a stage as a psychic reader where I asked where my client originated. And I'll never forget, I had this friend and client, and she was this, not that a starseed has to look in a certain way, but she just seemed like really earthly in every way, although she was psychic. And she said to me, I asked where she originated, and the answer was she's a star person. And that was the first time that I heard that. Now, when I asked about myself, I got that I originated as a tree person. I don't know what any of these things mean, but I love the idea that star seeds or star people are here to help us and encourage us and give us hope. I love that.
Well, what do
share
you
the inside information? That's what I say.
Kat, what about you? Do you have starseed connections? Are you?
I think we're all star seeds.
But do you have a direct like connection to a particular place?
I feel the Arcturians. Yeah.
They came up again. Neil.
Hey, a lot of Arcturian energy. Third time in 2 days.
It is. What does that mean, though? I mean, I don't know what that means because I don't know. But what does it mean to you when you say you feel Arcturian energy? How does that feel?
It feels like almost more creative is what I get, like this creative energy that's like really, and it connects with me. So even if I was to say all of the different beings, they just even like Lemurian or Arcturian, or I just feel like it just resonates with my soul when I say that. And I just feel that creative lightness. But I still feel like, we're all star beings. We're all from the stars.
We can resonate with a place more than others. And it's
yes, well, sure. And then we've all come here.
And that's exactly what you're saying, basically, Kat, is saying you have that connection to Arcturus, you feel it, but you're also saying we're all from the stars. So it's like that theme, that Arcturian theme probably has a precedence in your life right now, the creative energy. Also, supposedly they're really technologically advanced. So a lot of people that deal with next level technology or just conveying the awareness and information utilizing technology. So I think that we're from like many places, if not every place, right? But then the Pleiadian energy or the Arcturian energy might be something that is important for us to integrate in this life.
You see, I don't think our consciousness is the human consciousness originated on Earth. I think we are all from someplace else. Earth is a great place, and the tree consciousness is that. But for Marla, do you get the sense that maybe there's certain energetic frequencies and people that associate them with different other places? Does that make sense, Marla, since it's new to you?
Yeah, absolutely. And I have received messages over the years from like the Pleiadians, for example, for a particular client that I didn't, you know me, Ellen, I didn't know really who the Pleiadians were. So I went and looked it up online after the reading. But yeah, I think also just to be, to bring it into simple terms, we're vertical beings. So we are part of Earth and we are part of sky. And I think we're always yearning to know and understand the environment that we live in. And we live in, we're stretched between both environments.
Well, I think the purpose of this summit, though, is to help people understand maybe these thoughts that are outside the human sphere, like why they don't feel like they don't fit in. Like for me, I never liked the things that people normally like watching baseball or team sports or, Cub Scouts. Like I just like, what are people getting so excited about? or women buying shoes. I have 2 pairs of shoes. Maybe that's something else, though.
Don't go there, bro. Don't go there.
I think women and men are different races of beings too. So,
well, let me just say this. Something that I kind of like saying now is that, some people are like, I'm from Earth, not from space. But then I say, don't you know that Earth is in space? We literally are on a spaceship,
Yeah, the universe is not out there. The universe is right here. And,
yeah, exactly.
and because our consciousness is non-local, we have access to everything if we just knew how. Like Marla and Kat are very good psychics. They tune in. Kat talks to animals. Marla talks to everyone. Marla talks to.
But you know what? I think we do know how to connect. I think that it's in us to know how to connect, to how to send out messages and how to receive messages and how to be part of all of life. But I think where we get caught up is our shoulds and shouldn'ts and the boxes that we talk about, right? So people who grew up psychic when I did, that was unheard of, really. So what was someone, I mean, I grew up in the suburbs of Southern California. Someone like me, what were they supposed to do with their knowings or their intuition, or God forbid, having little visions or getting messages, right? So right. I think, our culture, our Western culture has changed and so much more open to those things. And, this is something, Alan, that, I have a passion about, is figuring out, what your psychic way of communication is, which is probably, I go on about the basic 10 psychic senses, but then they can happen in combination too. So I just want to say something really quickly about this. We have a cultural expectation that we should see and we should hear, that we should get visions and that we should get messages, and that if we don't, that we're not psychic. But I think really it's the smaller percentage of people who see and hear. I think the vast amount of us are knowers and feelers. We feel things in our body. We feel things in our emotions. We have dreams. We're able to do things with our hands, sense, transfer energy, all of that. So I just had to go on about that for a moment, because I think that we are those sensing beings. I think recognizing it, Kat, you're special, but Kat and I are not special in the way that we're doing anything differently. We just do it for a living, or we acknowledge that we are. But I think everybody's doing it all the time.
We're doing it all the time. But Kat, you had an awakening to that. You want to talk about that?
Well, no, I've actually always, been connected, but my point is that shift where it was kind of like, okay, now it's time to dive into this full time. So prior to that, no, I've always been connected. I've always seen spirit, and, definitely significant things in my life. But I believe that all of us can do this, just like Marla said, we all can. It's really what you put your attention and awareness to. So even though I had seen spirit years and years and years ago, I was busy doing something else because I wasn't ready to do that and dive into it and, make it really, part of who I am every single day. So it's no different if you want to just be, just be a construction worker all day long. Okay, then you're really great at that. It's what you put your awareness to. And so when you're doing that, maybe you're not connected to the spirit world because you're all hands-on physical, doing that. Again, it's where we get guided to in your life to put your attention and awareness to bring you to another reality or to bring you to another frequency. And so I believe that everybody has this ability. Everybody has it if they choose to do it, to practice it, to make it part of who they are, or their reality, their life.
I agree every day. I agree with some of that, but also in your case, you had an awakening. In Marla's case, she was a normal person. She's still normal, but like this thing, if you want to tell that story, it came on her out of nowhere. She was not looking for it, and boom, Marla, there you were in a psychic jungle, or sort of. Can you tell us the story?
That's true.
Tell us that story, because you weren't looking for it. I understand what you're saying, Kat.
I was not looking for it. I'll try to make it short. I was working in the art world. I was perfectly happy. I'd always loved art. I couldn't have been happier. And I was leaving the gallery one day, and I was getting a ride with someone that I didn't really know, who was a contractor with the gallery occasionally, to the car repair place where my car was. And I got into his little truck and I sat down in the passenger seat and I heard this voice say, "A pregnant woman sits here." So deep, so loud. I'd never had anything like that. I'd had about 3 psychic experiences in my life. It was so startling. And so this led, of course, the lifelong investigation, because I felt in the next few minutes, I had to determine whether I'd had some sort of psychic, not psychic, but psychological break, or whether I was having a psychic experience. So this poor man, I just hammered on him about babies and children and parents. And finally he cracked and he said, my girlfriend is pregnant. She's just 3 months pregnant. We're announcing it just this week. We just told the family last night. And so I thought, okay, great. So I'm not psychotic. This is the good news. But what happened? And so and then I had a break for about a year. I moved to Europe and then had some other startling experiences with that same deep, big voice. And after that, I've never heard that voice since.
You might hear it again sometime, but maybe that was an ET voice or your higher self. Or what do you think, Kat? Isn't that a great story of that?
Great story. I have similar ones as well with the voice. I mean, yeah. And so, and the voice is incredibly loud. It's not you thinking that. I mean, it is so startling. And so I 100% can resonate with everything that you just said. So, but and it was like, wake up is really what I hear. Wake up.
But she wasn't looking for it.
This all the time. I'm sorry.
No,
you're not. It's out of the blue.
Yeah. So something, is that a higher part of ourselves in control of this awakening process? I mean, because look.
I love that perspective. But yeah, it's our higher self, our soul. But again, all of our guides, our angels, they're part of us. They're in our soul. So you can, they're pieces, they call them fragments, other lifetimes of who they are. But when it's your higher self, so you put them all there, it's your higher self saying, hey, wake up. This is what you're supposed to be doing right now. And, and you're not listening. I've been giving you signs, but you're not paying any attention. Right. So you probably had all these other little signs prior to that, but you just really were oblivious to it until finally the voice came strong.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you could have had a very nice life in the art world and been successful but you would not have had the scope, I think, I don't know you that well, the scope of reality that this work has given you. You would have, is that true? I mean, what has this given you?
You know what I always say about this? We will never be bored, right? I mean, there's so many layers to life once you open spiritually, psychically, whatever we want to call it. And the layers just go on and on, not only out there and what we can experience, but inside of us as well. So the journey is endless and wonderful. And the fact that, Kat, that you can talk to anything, anyone, any energy, an energy that's just floating by and is doesn't have anything physical, tangible attached to it. I mean, this is amazing stuff. We also, I think, can never feel alone.
Right. Oh. See there, that just exactly right there. Whereas, when you're really in that 3D mode and you're not spiritually connected, and I'll call it that, but spiritually connected, there are times that you feel so alone. And I think, the moment that this really came into full force in my life, I was like, oh, I feel so like loved beyond words. And so that I know I'm never alone. And there's nothing in the external environment that can really compare So
Yes.
I always feel as team. I always feel that I can speak to anyone and just feel so much love and support. No matter if I was on a desert island by myself, I would feel supported. And I never felt that long ago to that extent. So now it's daily. So it's just incredible. So why wouldn't you want to practice that then?
Right.
That's what I say.
Doesn't that help you, Neil? Isn't that like a good thing to know?
Oh yeah, for sure. Because you're connected. You feel the connection, and the opposite of connection is disconnection. And so if we feel lonely or disconnected, that's when we are really like stuck within the 3D. So that it just inspires me more to work on my connection to source, so I don't have those, feeling that I'm I'm not complete, and that I don't have the support that I need to continue this work. And I wanted to like second what you said, Marla, about that we all have these psychic abilities. I guess some of us dedicate our lives to really fine-tuning these abilities, and part of it is the knowing and the belief that it's a reality. We all have these psychic abilities, and we're fine-tuned for it, like our body, our chakra system, our brains, we're all open to it. But when you've been convinced from yourself, from the education system, that you don't have it, then you start denying it, feeling delusional about it, questioning it, judging it, right? So it's like it has a downward fractal rather than an upward fractal, which is what people like yourselves are really focusing on, is like, expanding this consciousness. So for me, I feel like I want to say this as well, like, that we do have these messages that are coming in that don't have to be like actual tangible words. And a great example is Einstein, when he came up with E equals MC squared. He didn't say that he had awareness and like a voice in his head, but there were actually a few other people that came up with the same exact thing at the same time, and if you look throughout history at almost all the major advancements in human history, there was at least like another one to like multiple people that were documented, had the same exact awareness information, and almost beat out the other person to be the pioneer of this awareness. So I feel that's part of our psychic ability, is us tapping in to just the field around us and receiving downloads,
Love that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So how long, like, who do you work with? Do you guys do this like with clients and have people like, sit with you, and then maybe you tap into their field and get messages from them?
Yeah, absolutely. Every day. Yeah.
Mm.
Groups, or again, like Clubhouse even, or any forum, or on Zoom. We have clients. Yeah, I'm sure. That's really what it's about, is and not only that, I'm gonna put a little plug into Clubhouse, but it's another social media app, and what's really been amazing about that, which I think I should get paid for that one. No, really, it's been able to help a lot of people in what we're talking about. We hear about feeling lonely, and this one particular person came on there, and she was saying how alone she was. And I was like, and I just get these downloads of how to help her and what to say to her to work her to understand that she is not alone. And you're in that disconnected mode of feeling like you're just in this physical 3D reality, but there's so much more to that. And that's really concentrating and loving yourself and finding that, going into your heart space and feeling, right? Because if you're in your mind and your thought and always thinking, there's where the stress comes. That's what blocks, right? That's what blocks you from that, 5D reality, or getting out of the 3D reality, to know that there's more in the unseen world. And just to think that we're in these, victim modes. And so that's a lot of my work is through that, with doing readings for people, connecting with them that way, or finding some trauma in their life when they have some blockages in their life that, why am I still doing this? And why, I keep having these patternings, these bad things that keep happening to me. And it's always like a trauma or something that comes up, and I'll find that real quickly. But I get downloads is what I really get. But that's connecting, again, through your heart to the unseen world, to your higher self, your soul, and not feeling alone, that we have a spirit team, or however you want to say, a creator or source, and asking for guidance. Most people don't ask. I never did. I didn't believe in asking, and but they're all standing here. They're all here in this, room, and even around us to say, all you have to do is ask. We're right here, and most people don't know that. And
do you feel them or see them or both?
Yeah, I feel them now. Both, everything.
You feel them now. You feel them now.
Yeah, I feel they give me I feel the pressure right now. Yeah.
More because you started talking about them. Is that why you feel it now?
They've been here since I've started. Yeah.
Since you started, but are they?
Usually when I come in my office, they're like, "Oh, we're working." Yeah.
Is that true for you, Marla? I mean, you work a little different because you also then travel. Maybe Kat does too. I don't know, but you travel into the astral and connect with souls that have gone other places. And I
do. I bet that Kat would say this exact same thing. So we'll see, Kat. But it's all about what the client needs.
There you go.
So it could be some sort of practical seeming information that comes out. Like you'll meet someone in 2 months who, sort of looks like this, for a love interest. It could be practical like that, but it could be like the deepest soul information that I couldn't create it if I had to. I couldn't imagine it. And I'm stunned by the information that I'm connected to. And so I think it's all about what that individual needs, and it could be any level. Now, I love to do mediumship readings because I'm an intrepid investigator, and I always ask them a lot of questions over there, whether they like it or not. But I don't usually do that unless someone requests it, because I think that they need to be ready for it, or they need to. I'm not going to just go there and connect on their behalf without permission to a loved one, or sometimes an animal or a loved person who's crossed over will come in, but I think most of the time I'm going there and asking on behalf of the client. But the rest of it, is it not true, Kat? Wouldn't you say the same thing, that it can be like the most surface information to the deep, addressing the deepest aspects of all of soul life, right?
Sure. I mean, and that's why, who is it says, they say, you're a jack of all trades, master of none. But I'm a master of my own soul. So that's where I say, don't put me in a box. And I don't believe that anybody, everyone has something at a different level that they may need and require, but they may want something else, but what they need and require is a whole nother level. And so I just kind of get tuned in really quickly, and it kind of like bubbles up for me what they need at that deep level or at the surface level. And what happens is when it bubbles up, or I just call it a bubble, but it's kind of pops up, and it's like, that's what needs to be discussed right now. That's the issue. That's what's blocking you from moving forward. Mm-hmm. But, as far as me, I love mediumship. So for me, I just love, and mediumship for me is like, oh, we're having a party, and then I get to know somebody more because I feel them, I hear them, they just give me such amazing insights. It's obviously not about me.
Mediumship is so other beautiful. People who've crossed over. Is that what you mean by mediumship?
Yes, mediumship is, yes, your loved ones that have crossed over in spirit, but I'm working for them. And I say working, but it's them that needs to have a message given, and they're coming through usually typically because they want to apologize, or they have regrets. And so, and I have lots of clients who will come and they'll say, well, I didn't want to hear from that person. I don't want to hear from this person. I only want to hear from this one. But the spirit world has something else they know, and they step forward because they need to.
Well, you know what?
Yeah.
You know what I've always wanted to ask two mediums is, if you were talking to the same person that had crossed over, would you get the same message, or would you get different things based on who you are?
Wouldn't that be fascinating?
Yeah.
It's a good experiment.
So,
Yeah,
no,
that's
Very good
so They
experiment.
call that double linking. And so I work with several other mediums. We do double linking for the same spirit. But you are absolutely right when it comes to that, Ellen, is that when they connect with you, they use your life experiences. So if I have a client in front of me and I am not working with another medium and I don't resonate at all with, their grandmother that they want to connect to, I can't I haven't had any experience in my life that can relate to that person, but the other medium is able to give all that information because they use what they know from us. And that's how it works. But a lot of times I work with, other mediums and we double link just for double validation for the person to really believe, oh my God, that is my grandmother or my mother or my father or my husband.
Do you have anyone, Neil, you want to talk to?
I have a cute story though.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
let's hear the story.
So I have a client who is half Jewish and half Midwestern, pale, bland, dare I say, a little bit boring family. So she has these two sides. Okay, the Jewish side, generations show up. So let's say they're on this side, and then the little Midwestern quiet family is on this side. The Jewish side, there's like hundreds of them, and they're all talking, and they all have something to say. And I say to them, okay, everybody be quiet, because we want to hear from this side of the family too, right? So then you know what they do? They go, okay, everybody be quiet. Shh, shh. But then they're still making noise, and they're still making so much noise and saying,
Sounds like them.
quiet.
Sounds
that
like
we can't.
That's
So adorable. And then finally we get them to, really, okay, we're going to be quiet. And then we talk to the other side of the family. But it happens every single time that we do it. Such exuberance and such life force on one side. And then this quiet little, give us a moment. We're going to think about what we're going to say.
that means people retain their personalities on the other side, but is that true? Do they?
That was my question too.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think oftentimes, oh, go ahead, Kat. You go ahead.
No, that's exactly right. They do come through. They give us that feeling of who they were. So they impress upon me their energy, and whether they're really excited or they talk really fast or they're really outgoing, then I start talking really fast. And then I might get somebody who's really, really quiet and doesn't want to step forward, or they're more of the observer, and my energy changes, and so yeah, you do feel them that way. Yeah.
So if somebody goes transitions and goes back to source, are you able to connect with beings that have gone back to source, or are these beings that are still kind of incarnated in the in-between? Because you also said that some of them might want forgiveness. So when you transition, are you not just one with it all and realize that there needs no forgiveness, that it was all meant to be? Or can you kind of speak to that a little bit?
That's a good question.
I don't believe that they need forgiveness on their behalf. It's about the recipient. It's about
what that person needs. So they may not completely be like, hey, please forgive me, but they'll give you the message that you need so that you kind of come to terms with that situation.
Saying, I'm sorry, I should have been there for you, or I didn't give you what you needed, or I left and I'm so sorry. And yes, so they're saying they're sorry, and whether the recipient takes it at that moment or not, or of course, most of the time they do, they're just they just need to know that in their own heart. And so that helps them, even if they didn't really want to hear from them. But,
right. So say somebody transitions. Go ahead, sorry.
No, go ahead, ask the question.
I was gonna say someone transitions and then incarnates as an extraterrestrial on another planet. Are you able to still connect with that being as a person that transitioned from here, even though they're living another life somewhere else?
Yeah,
yes.
Because
a good question.
Go ahead, answer, Marla, if you'd like.
Oh, thank you. Well, I have talked to, even though I told Ellen in the beginning that I didn't know a thing about ETs, I really didn't fully understand how much interaction I'd already had with extraterrestrials, but you can connect with them wherever they are, right? Like the universe is an open place. So truthfully, most of the people that I connect with on the other side seem to be in one realm. Now, they're in different realms of this one realm. And there seem to be different vertical levels of this one realm. But occasionally I will meet someone who is completely in another place. I don't know that I could identify location versus location. I did have a client whose mother went so far out to the edges of our universe and beyond that it was easy to connect with her, but it felt extremely far away to me. The people who are, in heaven, so to speak, seem closer and more accessible. The thing
Marla, wouldn't that be then that they would been transitioned for, much longer period of time than just a recent passing?
Well, there is something going on the other side with time. I see this constantly. When people pop over, first of all, in 22 years of doing this, I've seen very few people who have difficulty crossing over, even though their circumstances may have been very tragic in life or in the death, but they have an easy time popping over. So many people tell me it was so much easier than they thought. One told me, as an aside, I love this, that it was as easy as breathing in a breath on this life and exhaling. Oh, sorry. It was exhaling in this life and breathing in a breath on the other side. So that part is not a problem. What I see that's interesting to me is that people seem to be functioning at very different levels. And they seem to be on a journey to completion, fulfillment, self-understanding, becoming love. And not all of these people can tell me what journey they're on. They can tell me where they are right now. But so many of them have told me, I know that I'm going to move on from this place. I don't know where I'm going, but I'll know when I'm supposed to go. And in that moment, I'll know where to go. And this speaks to an advancement of the soul. So I've seen people like shopping, or like Ellen, as I've told you, the guy at his yacht club. I loved him. It was so close to life. But then
which guy was this again, Marla? Which guy you were saying? Did you say?
Oh, I don't know if I ever told you that story, but seeing people, like this guy hanging out at his yacht club.
Oh,
with his friends who'd crossed over and whatever his little stories. But then I've seen people who are so highly evolved that they've almost dissipated. In a way, they've gone so high and their energy form seems so loose that it's more difficult for me to connect with. I have to work really hard. It's as if I'm thinking up in order to reach them.
Right. It's you. Yeah. What we're saying, Kat?
Well, so they just show up. So for me, I'm not looking for them. And it's like the moment you put your thought and awareness there and you want to, hey, I have a recipient here that, is showing up for a mediumship reading. And so whoever loved ones need to, who has the highest, greatest need to connect, they're here. Whether it's, your entire family, friends and everything else, or it's, 5 or 10, doesn't matter, or one in particular. So I'm not going out searching for them. They show up. It's like they know there's an appointment. They're like, oh, this is a reunion. So, they have a message, and that's so. But as far as, other people have said, well, I used to hear, when my mom, transitioned that, I would hear and see all these signs over and over. And now I don't very often anymore. They're involved, they evolve, they move. I don't know about moving on. They're in the spirit world doing these things that they're enjoying and learning. So we're in the earth school, they're in the spirit school. But the moment you think of them, they're there. I don't believe that they're not there. The moment your thought immediately.
They're there right now. They're here. They're here.
Yeah, absolutely. I can feel them. They love you. They love us, you know, they love the recipients that are here. They know they don't just discard you. They're like, yeah, forget about you. I'm busy over here now in the spirit world. No, I don't believe that at all. They might have, you know, traveled wherever that may be and doing their things. But, you know, when there's a need, they're there for you.
You said you're never alone. Who said that? Somebody. But isn't it nice to be alone? Can't you tell them to go away? I want to be alone for a second. I mean,
Well, they're not.
Well, I'd like to address that actually.
yes, tell me.
When I talk to pets and people on the other side, now I'm talking about specifically those who have crossed over, they're all very busy with their lives. So they aren't thinking about us all the time. They're not necessarily, I'm sorry to say this, they're not necessarily watching over us with all their focus and energy. But what they tell me is that it only takes a thought to connect. That's it. So we're always only a thought away. I can't tell you how many pets and people on the other side have said this to me. But I think if only we knew that, that would be so great, wouldn't it? If all of us knew that?
Well, if I asked you both about my old girlfriend, Paula, what would you have anything to say in agreement or disagreement? I mean, do you get anything about that? As a little test here, no, or whatever. If you, I mean, not a test, but I'm curious. But not, I mean, she's fine, I know, but just that's the person who came up when I thought, well, who would have something interesting to say?
Well, all I hear is she's not surprised at what you're doing. And that's what I'm just really quickly. She's not surprised at your life. You've always been out there, she says.
Yes, thank you for that. Yes, she was out there too with me. But yes, thank you. All right. Well, that sounds actually right. Anything from Marla, or you don't really?
You know, I remember I did a little reading for you. I don't remember if it was online or just us.
I think you may have, yeah.
But what comes across to me the most about Paula is this intense, and I mean that in a wonderful way, like pure freedom, like really unfettered by anything human, and more so than the last time I talked to her. It's like expansion, but not of how we think, you know, sort of a physical energy expansion. It's beyond that. I feel like she's gone light years ahead of where she was before. And this sounds a little bit sad, but she doesn't say it this way. If I'd only known what was possible when I was alive, like, you know, like I had an inkling, like I got it a little bit, but I had no idea that this, meaning
yes,
greater life is possible, this level of freedom, this magnitude. And it's not even about anything specific for her. It's not about looking back at Earth or looking forward at something else. It's just pure expansion.
But that's good, because we can have that in this life. We just put limits on ourselves. So that's good, I think. Just that.
Well, it is free. They're all free when they get out of that physical heavy body and that denseness. Yeah.
Does that help you, Neil, to show how much freedom you really have, that, you know, that you're doing? Neil is an incredible creator. You should, like, he's created a university in a sense of conscious studies of all levels, ancient civilization. So tell them a little bit about, you know, because they don't know you like I do. Tell them a little bit about your vision and your creativity and what you've put into Portal to Ascension. Can you say a few things about that?
Yeah, I'll do a little summary on it.
Yeah.
So I created, actually started with a Facebook group back in 2006. It was called 2012 Mind Evolution and Presence. And I woke up, you know, like in 2001, that was when I had my like milestone kind of awakening. And then 6 years, I was really deep down the rabbit hole, and I went into hardcore conspiracies. I was in fear. So in 2006, I created an online group, and I called it 2012 Consciousness because I was really into, the whole December 21st, 2012. I was one of the individuals that thought we were going to ascend on that day back then. And, like it would be night and day, like the next day, full disclosure, ET's landing. So I created this group to get more information about these concepts, especially when it came to extraterrestrials. And this kind of morphed over 2 years until 2008, when I had a dream that I was told to change the name to Portal to Ascension, and that synchronized with the fact that I also moved from conspiracies to a whole other to the spirituality of it all. I used to think that they were out to get me, and then I started realizing that this was kind of set up the way it was for us to get this contrast, go through this world of amnesia, but get this contrast of darkness and light, so that we can truly remember who we are. So I stopped judging those that were doing all these nefarious things to me and realizing that they're basically playing their role. So as I did that, I started having love and compassion for the controllers, if you will. And even though I had love and compassion, I still took action to really expose hidden truths when it came to ancient civilizations or different things that have happened to us in our past. So in the same month that happened, I had the dream, change the name to Portal to Ascension. So I changed it to Portal to Ascension. I created a New York chapter, UK chapter, Canada, like multiple places, and thousands of people started joining. So I decided in 2009, 2010, why don't I start creating events and see if these people from these groups will start attending them? So I created 3 tours from 2009 to 2011, actually 4 tours, starting in San Diego, going to Vancouver and Victoria Island, nonstop, like every 4 days for like 2 to 3 years. I was doing events. I did hundreds of events, everything from sound healing events to channeling events where my friend was channeling a being from Sirius, to like 3-hour right frequency machines where we'd hook people up to right frequency machines and play sound tools on them. So that was kind of the playing ground for Portal to Ascension. And since then, I've had a couple of milestones, one in regards to creating large conferences, and then the other one 7 years ago where we started the online university. And now at this point, I create around 110 conferences, retreats, tours, webinars a year, and we have 10,000 hours of conscious presentations on our platform. So every topic I really had the opportunity to want to go into over the last 16 years, I've either created an event on, or we have it in the pipeline over the next 2 years. So I like to say that Portal to Ascension is a one-stop shop for consciousness. And not only are we there for people that are waking up right now that want to be basically, what it took me 8 years to come to, people are coming to in like 1 to 2 months now. Like time is like accelerating on that level. So we have this platform with all this awareness that you can come to our website and completely learn about, even the science of ascension to the spirituality and esoterics. Or if you're like a way shower or a light worker, that's going to be one of the teachers for all the people that are waking up. We're also a platform for that. So it's really like not only for people waking up, but for people that want to take their awareness to the next level. And now I teamed up with Alan over the last 4 years or so. It seems like every month that passes, we do more and more things together because like we're a good team. So that's basically it.
We are, and the stars, he's doing a starseed conference this weekend that everyone watching should attend. And we did a hybrid and walk-ins and really cutting edge spiritual territory, which is fun for me because I'm an Aquarian. We like that kind of a thing.
Hey, definitely an Aquarian.
I am. Thank you. And welcome, Michael. Thanks for showing up. We're just listening to Neil talking about Portal to Ascension. So, I mean, Kat's familiar with this, but what do you make of all that, Marla? Do you see that?
So exciting! I'm looking at your website right now. It's amazing.
Right.
I'm like, where do I put my email in?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah, I'm doing it right now. I love it. And Kat, I want to do the same thing with your site too. But I'm completely wowed by your level of energy and purpose and focus. How did that happen? Did that just kick in? How did that happen?
Well, it started, basically, I was raised Hindu, right? And I just did the rites and rituals that my parents told me to do, but I never really believed anything. And most first generation out of India Indians that are like born, like I was born in England, right? So people from not born in India, I realized that a lot of these Hindus are what I called myself for ages an atheist Hindu, right? And I actually watched a comedy show recently of this Indian guy, and he called himself an atheist Hindu. And I was like, whoa, this is actually a term that Indians use. And it was because I did everything, but I didn't have any beliefs. I just did what my parents told me to do. So as I like got older and turned 18, I started wondering like, what is the root of all of this stuff? Why do we do the things that we do? I was just extremely curious. So the reason why I started Portal to Ascension and even did all this was my search for the root of all religion. And that was the bottom line, the root of all religion. And as I started doing that, I found the Sumerian scriptures, I found extraterrestrial awareness, I found advanced quantum physics in ancient scriptures. And being an Indian with a linear mind, I was like, whoa, science, vibration, frequency, wait, yoga, eating well, Ayurvedic, this is all vibrational medicine. And that connected the dots for me. Through that, all like thousands of different topics started manifesting, and that was pretty much my driving passion. But the real thing is like, I am kind of curious sometimes to a fault, I would think, because I was just like, I just want to know, why we are who we are, what led to us being here. My thoughts even go to this level. For example, like, that if Jupiter did not exist where it exists right now, Earth would have been destroyed a long time ago with an asteroid, right? Yeah. So like, who did that? Who put that into place? Was it done deliberately? Was it an accident? So these kind of thoughts led me down my research, basically.
Do you, I have a question. Do you do a lot with sacred geometry? Because I just saw this right on top of your face right now. And I never see that. Like that's, but I've never had that vision. I mean, of course, it just went right on top of your head when you were talking. I was like,
yeah, actually, sacred geometry was what got me into a lot of this stuff. Because when I did quantum physics, I started realizing that sacred geometry was actually had the equations embedded in it of how everything even manifested in the first place, right? Like, for example, mitosis, right? Mitosis is actually represented by the seed of life. If you break down the seed of life into like a circle, then the vesica Pisces, and the fruit of life. So the seed of life is a sacred geometry shape that has been used for thousands and thousands of years, but it's actually a scientific representation of how all physical matter is being created in this world in the first place, So yeah, sacred geometry is huge in what I do. And one of the first conferences I did was called Sacred Geometry Conference, actually.
Oh, well, I keep seeing also a pyramid over you. And again, I've never had those visions for somebody like that. So that's fantastic. So you have a
Thank you for telling me that.
Yeah, no.
I'm just seeing new stuff here with you.
See what happens. A passion.
Somebody else, yeah. The frequency.
For knowledge. And
yeah, it's exciting.
So your passion for knowledge, it's in your auric field. Well, I just want to say hello to Michael, who's a Tibetan scholar, right? He's taken lots of levels of Tibetan. Hey, Michael, how's your mother doing? Oh, wait, unmute yourself, unmute.
Thank you for asking, Alan. She's slowly getting better. She moved from the hospital to a rehabilitation center and slowly getting better.
It's hard.
It was hard in the hospital,
They
don't have Ayurvedic medicine there. They even had an osteopathic physician there, but that physician didn't even know how to do osteopathy. They just switched from osteopathy, which is a very good alternative system, just into allopathic medicine. So you have to keep an eye on the doctors and all the tests that they want to do and everything. But so it's taken a lot of energy, but she's still on the planet.
And there's no spirituality in those hospitals. They're so clinical. It's like being on a kind of very weird planet, being in those hospitals. It's like, where's the humanness in them? Where's the nature?
It's there with some people.
I guess,
some of the people have more of it. And
I'm sorry.
Right.
I'm sending you love and healing for your mom, and
Oh,
just knowing
Thank you.
your energy by being your presence alone raises a vibration right there. You know that.
oh, thank
Thank you,
you.
Kat.
That's-
Yeah, it's taking a lot of energy, supporting her. I mean, they had her on morphine, which was just really terrible for her. It just turned her into a zombie,
Yeah.
for pain. They'll give morphine, but then other things they won't give easily. It took 2 days to be able to get her water. She's like severely dehydrated and they wouldn't give her water. They think because they're giving fluids, intravenously, they didn't give her water. I mean, it was challenging. It was challenging.
Wow. It's hard.
And I had teachings too. I mean, one doctor, they wanted to give her like high blood medicine to reduce her blood pressure, even if her blood pressure was low. That makes like no sense, so I had to like yell at this one doctor. It worked out fine. He was still nice to me afterwards, but my wife thought I was out of control, and I was a bit, but I did think it would be useful to, show wrath and yell at this person.
Sometimes it is.
Sometimes it is,
Definitely.
sometimes it is.
Definitely.
It
Yes.
would be nice if I could be more conscious when I'm, yelling and not get into an automatic reactive mode. But anyway, it worked.
Wow.
They changed the thing so that if her blood pressure was low, she couldn't get more heart medication to lower her blood pressure. So anyway, it's been challenging.
Wow. Well, thanks for joining us. And we were just talking about the soul and spirit and Neil's passion for creating Portal to Ascension. And
Fantastic. It's really amazing. Yeah,
you've been on it, right, Kat? You've been on Portal to
Yes, I have. And
We
I was
shouldn't-
on
we
with this
should-
event I just had. Yeah.
we should do an event with Marla and Kat and some other psychics, Neil. Like a whole
All right.
Be so fun.
it
Yeah.
it would be like, yeah, we're doing the Starseed event this weekend, and we're doing a hybrid conference in January, right?
Walk-ins is in January.
A walk-in. And you have a bunch of other things coming up. What do you have coming up? I saw something with Nadi you're doing?
Yeah, we have a free panel on hybrid extraterrestrial awareness and the hybrid program. That's going to be that's actually tomorrow, actually, on
How
Thursday.
come-
And if
Can I get on
What's
that? Or no, it's kind of all set, I guess. Nadi's running it, right? That's
yeah,
okay.
I'm just letting them use the platform, and then I don't even really get involved.
Can you stream it onto my platform too?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're actually a sponsor on the graphic and all the details, so it has your info. Yeah.
All right.
So
Yeah.
I have more questions on psychic awareness. Should we
Yeah,
do
please.
it? Okay.
Yeah, I love that because these are
Mark-
experts. Yeah.
Marla, you said heaven. What is heaven?
Isn't that an old-fashioned term? Well, I like the other side better, of course, from my terminology, but it does seem to be the place where many of us humans and animals go to experience life that continues on after death. So it's basically that. But you
Okay.
know what? Every medium reading I've ever done is so hopeful. Don't you agree, Kat? It's always uplifting.
Yeah. I mean, when you think about it, I mean, that's why they say, like, the denseness of this world, you are free, and the beauty of, you can call it heaven. And that's what we say. It's like we say heaven, because there's no the fear, there's no worry, there's no stress, there's beauty everywhere. Everything's much more vibrant. So that's what we're just terming it as heaven. So just like another, you can call it you can name it whatever resonates with you. So
Yes.
heaven for me is, just that beautiful place where our guides, our angels are, or And again, they're different realms, but our loved ones, you know, again, it's just another peaceful state of being is what I believe heaven is, another peaceful state of being, a joyful state of being.
Do you have any awareness on simultaneous existence of souls? That they are like, when people transition, they go to this realm and they, you know, with a thought, you can connect with them, but then could they be living multiple other lives and even incarnate as a human again? Because if we're reincarnating, right, then this soul is always there to be connected with, but it's also reincarnated.
Yes, but you know, and there are souls that come back and reincarnated in this lifetime, but most of them are not in the same lifetime.
So what are ghosts then to you
That's
guys?
my belief. Again, that's again my belief. Again, I may that's what resonates with me, is that I feel that, and that's coming from what you've heard or learned from other people and other mediums, but for me that resonates highly for me, that you know there's, you know, time is so fast here for them. It's just like, you know, but for us, it seems like, you know, oh God, when is this life going to end? Right. But it's not like that for them. So for them to return so quickly in the same lifetime I'm not saying that it doesn't happen, but I think that the majority of them don't return in the same lifetime, but they are living other life, you know.
What do you mean return?
Realities, let's put it that
What
way.
does that mean, return in the same lifetime? Like
In your lifetime right now, in the same lifetime.
Like if your mother returns as your child or something like that.
Correct. Yes.
Doesn't, but some people say it is, sometimes does happen though.
Yes, it does happen, but I believe and I resonate with it not happening as often. What do you think, Marla?
Well, you make such a good point. I think that it's so complex and so simple at the same time that I think it could all be happening at once, which really is a brain stretch for me. But let's just use past lives, for example. You know, people go back to experience a strength in a past life or to heal something. And depending, it can heal something in our current life, right? Then why can't that be happening on a much greater scale for our own personal timelines? And why can't that affect everything else too? I mean, so, you know, I exactly get what you're saying, Kat. And I think that my brain wants to tend to make it more simplistic and sort of more about the laws of nature and science as we know it. I think kind of anything is possible. I had a dog that was very special to me, and if I call her, because she's very busy, she doesn't have the time, but if I call her, she comes to me very easily. And also I've talked about her before, takes me on these great adventures through the universe, which is like a roller coaster ride, and I have to hang on with everything I've got. But one day I was driving along and feeling that she was in the passenger seat next to me, and she morphed into like a teenage girl. Now this, like, honestly just blows my circuits, but why not? Why not?
Yeah, right.
And I said to her, why are you doing that? And what's going on? And you've got to explain this to me. And, you know, it was so simple to her. Why not?
What, she became a teenage girl?
Girl.
Did your dog become a teenage girl?
Well, she did in that moment, to my perception. Now, when I questioned her about this a lot, she said, I came to you as a dog. I didn't have children. So she said, I came to you as a dog so that you could experience what it was like to have young female energy, because that was important for you in this lifetime. But, you know, it speaks to how, you know, we we like to limit things. I didn't want to think that she could also be a teenage girl and could have been that girl for me as a child. But of course she could have been, right, Kat? Of course.
Of course. Well, or your dog left and then a teenage girl came into them and just like that. But there is, time exists only for us here in this earthly linear time, right? Everything is in the now. So there's, parallel realities with your loved ones living other lives right now. It's a matter of them coming into our reality is another question in the same lifetime, right? That's what you were asking, Alan.
Well, Neil just asked about ghosts as well. Are those beings that
Right.
just get stuck in the earth plane without a body? That's what
And
I'm
are
so
there some
sorry.
people
I
that
have
don't
to
make it?
go.
Oh,
Oh, okay, Marla.
you can't
Bye,
answer that
Marla.
question, Marla.
I really hate to go. I'm so
Do you have a
sorry.
quick
you for
answer?
allowing
A
me to
quick
leave
answer
it
for?
to all.
You have a quick answer for the ghosts?
You know what? I have to get in the car
Oh, next
and
time.
drive to Beverly Hills right this second, or I'm going to be late.
Okay,
Nice to meet you, Marla.
next week,
Thank
Marla.
Me
you so
too.
much. I can't wait.
Next
So
week.
nice to meet you, Neil and Kat, and Michael. My love to you and your mother.
Yeah.
Thank you, Marla.
Thanks, Marla, for being here.
Ellen, keep going.
Take care, Marla.
Bye.
Bye.
So
Well-
to add to your question, Alan, for
Oh,
Kat, are they those that transition but they don't make it to the other side?
Yeah,
Right.
well, that's a great question. And most of the time when you're seeing ghosts, they're residue, they're energy residue. But there are ones that have unfinished business, whether there is something that they really need to get a message to someone. So yeah, there's lots of mediums that help those souls, go to the light or, get out of that,
Mhm.
stuck, position. I don't usually work like that. I did long ago with somebody that I kind of felt. But as mediums, we're all kind of guided to different things. Like there's mediums who, love to work with, missing persons. And I just don't resonate with, a lot of, it's not that I don't resonate, excuse me, let me clarify. I don't really want to see the side of their traumas, or I don't, so for me, some people really like always get connected and know the spirit tells them how they passed. So they show them a lot of details about how they passed. That's how a lot of mediums work. For me, it's like, all right, you're here, show me more memories or something that's, much more uplifting. And, so for me, I don't like to, and spirit knows that. So as far as ghosts, a lot, like you see on the television shows, a lot of it is residue, their energy residue.
But there's spirits that hang around certain locations sometimes. I was in a haunted
Out in
house.
the bar. That's why they call them spirits in the bar.
Right. I mean, I was in a haunted house. I did feel something, a presence there of a something. So
could it be like, and it could be two things. It could be like an actual being, kind of residue of that being that's stuck within this reality. And then could it be like such a traumatic situation that is an imprint of that trauma where it's not an actual being, but it's just like a playback
That's
thing?
what I meant. When I said residue, I meant imprint. It's residue imprint. Yep. But yes, if you go into these bars or haunted places, that you'll really feel their energy. But again, it's mostly imprint. But you'll hear some that somebody moved into an old home and they're like getting like I just actually, somebody that I connected to, she was saying that she actually was like pushed and a lot of energy was there, that a lot of trauma or a lot of things were happening physically to her, and which fear feeds into that. So if you become fearful, you're creating more of that energy as well. So whether there was something going on prior in that home to her ever moving in, or a tragic passing or something like that, the energy is very, very strong. So, and then when you feel that energy, she may be really incredibly sensitive and feel that energy. So then when she feels it, she gets scared, or the, lights go on, or the energy, does all these things. So that actually creates much more of that energy. So I don't believe that there's really any bad, spirits. I think we're all made from love, and unless you, feed into that with the fear-based reality, and then, that, then it can be created. But well, we create that, we create that. But if you understand that they're all just souls, having these human experiences, we're all made from love. That's what I believe.
There is negative energy. I mean, you can pick up sort of weird, like
but that's human created. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's
That's the
human
fear.
created. The fear.
It's,
Yes,
it's a personification of fear.
that's right.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there is people that do suck energy though sometimes, wouldn't you say? Like pulls on our energy field.
You mean like actual alive people, right?
Yeah,
people
like
walking
living,
around.
like people, yeah, like, yeah, there's people that pull on your energy field, right?
Absolutely. People who are like, they can try to control you, definitely, like whether they're an employer or whether they're a partner in somebody's life. No, they just suck on that energy and the control factor. So definitely.
Well, that's interesting.
But let's change it to the uplifting here, because you want to bring love and light to all of these
Well, it
experiences.
is love and light.
I call them experiences. We come into the human body to have experiences. You can categorize it into love, or you can categorize it into fear. And you have a choice in where you put your attention. And so I choose the love factor.
I choose love too. Yeah.
Me too. Me too. I affirm that.
Create more.
Kat, what is most of your work? What is the kind of work that you like doing?
I love mediumship. Connecting to your loved ones in spirit, and doing healing work, tuning into your frequency, to your energy auric field, and finding things that may need a little support in your life. So with my intuition, I get guided that way, and I love it all. Let's put it there. I love the unseen world, the power that comes from them, and helps, with the guidance to help support somebody else with whatever it is that they're needing.
Do you want to do some channeling next week on the show of your higher guides? You feel like that?
I'm not sure I can make it next week, but I will have to let you know on that. But yeah, this has been amazing tonight, but I do have to go soon.
We should go soon too.
Yeah.
But yeah, Neil, Portal to Ascension. Do you want to just show you? Can you just pull it up for this audience here? Because I'm going to play this later. I'm going to thank you, Kat, for everything that you and tune in this weekend. I'll send you a link to this. Okay. Are you connected to starseeds at all?
Am I connected to starseeds?
Well, do you connect into that realm of like the starseed realm?
Again, I don't know necessarily, unless I think again, it's another frequency, because we're all starseeds. So I
think that's just a label that helps us identify with that aspect of it all that, can be beneficial, but this kind of energy transcends that, because you're really just tapping into creation and a realm that all beings are really going in through, right? So I think that starseeds is one aspect of it all, but it's definitely the psychic energy and the mediumship kind of connects to like the whole field. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does. It does. Well, this is what's coming up. And if you have to leave, Kat, you can, but we're just going to do a little commercial here at the end of this program right now. This is coming up for people tuning in, the Starseed Summit, $77 with all these
2 days.
Yeah, 2 days. Kamara Jones. You know Kamara Jones's work, Kat?
I do know her work. Yes, it's amazing.
It is. It is. A lot. Bridget, who I discovered on Club. You know Bridget from Clubhouse, Kat, too?
No.
Bridget Holiday. She's always on Clubhouse. She does, I think.
Oh, you just had her on your show, right?
Yes.
I saw that. Mm-hmm.
And Kiara's great, beautiful. Mark, these are some ET. Mark had a great ET connection, and my good friend Phil. Marina, do you know Marina Sarin?
Yes, I mean, I don't know her yet, but I know her from your show. Yeah.
Right, and Joan, and we just did an interview with Richard Horowitz. Did you see that? That was just on today.
I haven't seen it today, no.
Linda Backman, very interesting connection, and Ben Carroll, sound healing, and Jody Sirota. Did you know Jody?
Don't know Jody. I know Ben.
Jody's an old friend of mine. She's been doing sound healing and vibration and channeling and crystal skulls and lots of stuff, lots of stuff. So that's the lineup, but it's 2 full days for anyone watching of what is a starseed, and you might get in touch with your mission here if you're watching this. So yeah, and you could register at portaltoascension.org.
Mhm.
Thanks. Any questions, Michael? Any answers? Any answers?
No, thank
right.
you. Glad that I was able to join before the show was over.
Yeah, let me know if you're coming into the city at all. If you want to set up another meeting, we could do that.
Sounds great.
And Kat, anytime, any Wednesday, and if you want to channel on a separate show, I'm always interested in channels because that was like my opening was through seeing a channel. So I'm really available for that. And Neil, let's talk tomorrow.
Sounds good.
Neil, it was nice formally meeting you now.
You as well,
Yes,
Kat.
Nice to meet
Nice
you.
seeing you again.
Pleasure
Michael.
connecting with you, Michael.
Nice to
Sending you
meet you,
love.
Neil.
Okay, Kat, let's talk sometime anyway. I'll be in Florida. I'll let you know.
All right. Talk soon. Bye
Thanks.
now.
Thanks. Thanks,
Bye.
everybody. Thanks, Michael, Kat.